Hey, it's Cindy, and today we're talking about the 3 self-help books or personal development books that I am loving right now. In this video, I am going to share with you the 3 books I'm loving and also why I'm loving them and why I think that you could benefit from reading them too. If you would like actionable tips and more videos like this with tools that you can use to be happier and more successful, then do please click the subscribe button and make sure you catch all my videos because they are really good, even if I do say so myself. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so first off I'm going to say that all of these books are on my Kindle. I don't have the physical version of them. I prefer Kindle for most books, especially to do with my self-help type stuff that I read about, because I want all of them and I just don't have space to keep all of them. So on my Kindle I can have as many books as I want, which is the most joyous thing in the world. Let me know in the comments if you love books as much as I do. I love books. Okay, so I've got 3 books to talk about. They're in no particular order, but I will tell you that one of them has literally, and I use that word in the correct sense, changed my life. So keep listening right to the end because that's the one I'm going to talk about last. Okay, so the first book I'm going to talk about is by an author who I actually met in person at the Isbourne Centre, which is a holistic centre in Cheltenham where I live. And the book's by a lady called Melody Fletcher, who you may or may not have heard of. And she came over to do a talk at the Isbourne Centre, and I loved her style. She's from America. She says it like it is. She's a bit sweary, which doesn't bother me at all. But the message that she was sharing, that was the important thing. She was so eloquent in the way she was talking about her topic. So her book is called Deliberate Receiving. Finally, the universe makes some freaking sense. And it is about the law of attraction, and it approaches it in a very, very different way. So if you're into the law of attraction, then you probably heard about The Secret and various other books. Of course, there are literally thousands of books about the law of attraction. And it's all about aligning yourself with the energy, the vibration, the representation of the things that you want in life so that you can attract them in. Now, whether you believe it or not, it's up to you, but if you are into that stuff, you'll have read loads and loads about it. You may have tried to practice the law of attraction and perhaps not been able to attract the things that you want to quite so well. And what Melody does in this book, and what I love about the way she approaches it in this book, is it's a very practical guide, but she also explains exactly how it all works, so that it's not some woo-woo thing. She's backing it up with sort of physics and science and that sort of stuff. So even if you're not really into the law of attraction from a woo-woo point of view, you might be interested in it from the other side of it. And she lays everything out in a really good way so that you can follow through. You'll learn about how it works, about why perhaps it hasn't been working for you, where you might have been going wrong. And of course the stuff I talk about in terms of beliefs and thoughts and everything like that is very heavily involved in why it does or does not work for you. So in this book, Melody lays out exactly what you need to do, how to find the beliefs that perhaps are getting in your way, the things that are stopping you from getting what you want, from manifesting the things that you want, and also how to then direct your energy to get the stuff that you want. So it's a really, really good book. Melody explains things very, very well in there. There's lots of practical things that you can do to change your beliefs, which is what I do all day, every day with my clients. And I just really enjoy it. It's got a chatty style. She shares a lot of her story through it, not in a self-indulgent way, but in a way that really illustrates how to carry out the practices that she's detailed in there. She's also got a brilliant blog. She makes videos, and so I highly recommend looking up Melody Fletcher, whether or not you get the book, because she's, I highly recommend her. She's good. She's good. She's a good egg. I will be leaving all the links for the books that I talk about in the description box. I'll leave the link to the Kindle version, but you can obviously change it on Amazon to whatever. If you want a paperback version or whatever you want, then you can do that too. So if you are intrigued by any of the books I talk about, then of course head down to the description box, click on the link, and you can get hold of the book for yourself. And the beauty of Kindle, the other thing I like about it, you don't have to wait. You want something, you order it, and boom, there it is on your Kindle, on your phone, on your computer, wherever you want it. How amazing is that? I talk about law of attraction and manifesting. I want that, I do something about it, and I get it. Perfect. Okay, so the second book I want to talk about is also by an author I've met at the Isborne Centre, which is really weird. I hadn't thought about that until I literally just pulled the book up on my Kindle. And it's called How Your Mind Can Heal Your Body. And it's by Dr. David Hamilton. And I met him at the Isborne Centre when he was doing a talk about, it was kind of like the link between spirituality, computer science and the cosmos. It was kind of a crazy talk about all these things and how they're all linked together, and how the science explains the woo-woo stuff, which is, he really likes to do that. He likes to make it less woo-woo and bring in the science so that you can see why it actually works. Are you detecting a theme in these books? Maybe you are. So I got this book back in September 2017 because I think I saw it on offer. He'd maybe shared it on his Facebook or something as it was on offer on Kindle. So I picked it up, and there it sat on my Kindle all the way from September through until about February, I think. No, later than that. March this year, 2018. So it was really interesting because I got the book and I'd just been diagnosed with asthma, or I was in the process of getting diagnosed with asthma. I'd had a number of chest infections. I was really, really poorly. And you'll notice that there's a few gaps in videos. I couldn't actually talk enough to make videos. I was so poorly. So I got this book and then I didn't read it. It was very interesting. And I kept on not reading it, knowing it was there on my Kindle and that maybe it would help me. But I just didn't. And then it wasn't until I'd got the proper diagnosis, I was sure about what was wrong with me. And then I thought, oh, I could read that book. I forgot I had it. I didn't really forget. I knew it was there. So this book is all about the science behind how your mind can heal your body, as well as lots of anecdotal evidence and people's stories. I think that's the second half of the book, is all people's stories about how they had healed themselves with visualization. Now, visualization is very powerful because that's the way our unconscious mind and our conscious mind communicate with each other, and it's how we direct our unconscious mind and tell it what we want. And when we visualize healing of our body, it actually sends a message to our physical body to do something about it.
Just do it!
And it will do something, either send out a chemical or blood cells or whatever that are needed in that area of our body to start to heal it. So it's not just some kind of woo-woo mind thing, it's actually having a physiological response in your body when we visualise, and it's making something happen in that area that I'm pointing here because that's obviously where I had my problem, to help to heal it. So I read this book and started immediately to do the visualisation he suggested in here. So he's got a list in there of every kind of medical complaint you can think of with suggested visualizations that might help with that. And there's also like a general healing visualization. So, and it's kind of like you're meditating, but you're making pictures in your mind about the area of your body that you want to heal. And it's really, really very simple. It's not a difficult thing to do, and you can do it almost anywhere, and it doesn't take very much time. So I was doing the visualizations for a couple of days, and I started to notice improvement in my asthma. My tightness was a lot less, my peak flow had improved, I was using less reliever. Now after that I got another chest infection, and I wasn't able to kind of heal myself from that as fully as I wanted to with visualization. But I have to say it really, really made a difference initially. And he recommends, of course, in this book, you use this stuff alongside conventional medicine. You don't say, oh, I don't need the doctor anymore. That would be really irresponsible, and he's not saying that. So I was using this alongside all of my inhalers and everything, and then I had a course of steroids. I've been doing the visualization alongside it, and lo and behold, here I am talking for hours on end, way, way better than I was, walking around, talking, doing stuff around the house, whatever it is I want to do, which I wasn't able to do before, and it was taking such a long time to get better. So that's my personal story of how I've helped to heal my body with my mind, and that's not the only way you can use it. You could use it for all sorts of things. If you have to have surgery, you can use it to help the wound heal more quickly, etc., etc. So I highly recommend this book if you've got any sort of chronic illness that you would like to be able to feel like you're doing something proactive, that you're not just relying on the medical staff, however brilliant they are, to do what they can do, that you're taking responsibility and doing something for your own body. I highly recommend you get this book. Also, if you ever have anything wrong with you, which most of us do, you get headaches, or you might fall over and cut your knee or whatever it is, this book can help with that too. So I highly recommend it. I've recommended it to loads of friends who've picked it up, and again, I'll leave the link down below. And finally, the book you've probably been waiting for, the one that has changed my life in small ways and big ways, which I'll talk about a little bit, and I think I might talk about more in another video because I don't want this one to get too long. But the book in question is by a gentleman called Michael Neill, and the book is called Creating the Impossible. Now, I read this book on holiday in February. It was one of those things where, Kindle, when you go to your home screen, it has like a recommended list at the bottom. And I just finished reading some free chick lit book I got for holiday. I just finished reading that, and at the bottom it suggested this book, Creating the Impossible. And I think I'd seen it a few times and just ignored it. Now, I've read another book by Michael on Kindle, so Amazon knew that I, had bought one of his books before. But something about the title really caught my eye, and because in February I was still quite poorly, and I was having this holiday and I was feeling a bit better on holiday, but still getting back into work fully and everything was feeling quite impossible. And I thought, I like being creative, I like creating things, so sounds like my kind of book. So I started reading it, and Michael in the start of his book recommends that you read it for fun, not to learn something, not taking notes, just read it through just for the hell of it and then see what occurs. So that's what I did. I read Creating the Impossible, and then I also read another book of his, which is called Super Coach, and so I read both of those very differently to how I normally read these kind of books, because this is the stuff I do for my job, so quite often I will take notes, or I will think about how I can apply that with myself or my clients, and that's just how I roll when I'm reading these kind of books, because it's what I do and I find it so fascinating. So I tried my hardest to read these books just as books and not think about what I was going to do with what I learned. So I did. That's what I did. I read the books and enjoyed them, and I went on to something else on my holiday. And then I came back from holiday, and that night I could not sleep. Couldn't sleep at all. And I had this sudden realisation that there was something I was trying to do with my business that I just didn't want to do. And one of the things Michael talks about in one of these books, I don't know which one it was about, you don't have to do anything. Nobody's standing there with a gun making me do it. I can do anything. And so I had this massive freeing realisation in the night. I made a video at 1:30 in the morning, like you do, and I was awake until 5 a.m. because I was just thinking about so many different ideas. As soon as I'd let go of that old thing that I didn't want to do, so many ideas came to me. Now, in Creating the Impossible, Michael Neill is talking about how our world is created through our thoughts, and in fact our experience of the world is entirely through our thoughts. There's no one reality. We all have our own vision, our own perspective of the world, and that's created from our thoughts. So when something's going wrong, how we react to that is down to our thoughts. It's not down to the thing that's actually happening. And the fact that we call it going wrong is just a perception. That's not even true. It's just a perception. So he's talking about this inside out thinking and living, and the fact that the world comes from our thoughts. And then he's talking about the sort of process of creating something. The reason why it's called Creating the Impossible is because as part of the process you choose something that you think is impossible, or at least only 20% possible. So it kind of takes the pressure off. That's what my experience has been. Having something that's impossible to achieve just means, well, I'll get as far as I get. There's no pressure on me to do the thing that I'm going to do. It's just I'm going to go for it, see how far I get. That's all I'm doing. And I'm doing it just for the hell of it. So there's a whole process within the book, which is like a 90-day challenge. And every single day, Michael gives you something different to think about, a different perspective on your project and a different way of looking at it, so that you can explore all the ways perhaps in the past you've been stopping yourself and choose not to do that anymore. In particular about the project, but in other ways as well. He also says that by focusing on one project, it doesn't mean your other things won't be moving forward too, because what happens is when you're moving forward with one thing, other things tend to get pulled along too. And that's just the way things are. So I decided on that night when I was wide awake that I would set up a Facebook group, which I did, because I thought, well, I'm going to do the 90-day challenge. Wouldn't it be fun if I had a few people along who were also doing that and we could share our experience? So I came home and I set up this group and I launched it, and I've got, I think, 22 members, including me, which is amazing. And everyone's working through at their own speed. Each day I post what that day is, and I think in the group we're on day 67, maybe? I don't know. I've forgotten already. I'm a bit behind. I had a few weeks out, here and there, a few days out. So I'm on day 50 something, and 53. But each day he gives you a little challenge that to complete, or a little something to think about, a little nugget of wisdom to think about. And all the while you're taking small actions towards your impossible project. So the first week is all about choosing your project, and you spend a lot of time sort of digging around for those sort of deeper, meaningful things that you might want to do, but not in a pressurized way, not in a, oh, I've always wanted to do this thing and it really means a lot to me and therefore if I don't do it it'll be awful. It's actually, I'm going to do this thing. It's got to be something you want to do just for the hell of it. There's not because I want to make money, it's not because of this, because of that, but actually just because. So going through that process of choosing something took me a while to get into. The first day I wrote down, I followed the process, and I was like, I don't really like any of those ideas. They were all a bit too worky. And then on the second day we had to go through a process, and part of it was to write down, your top 3 goals, which of course I'm very practiced at doing, and your top 3 miracles. Now that one got me thinking. And so as a result of this book right here is the whole reason that my YouTube channel has been growing over the last few months, because I set my mind on getting 1 million YouTube subscribers.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
So within 90 days, that's impossible, pretty much. And even overall, like Tony Robbins doesn't even have that many. However, I thought, I'm going to go for it anyway. Do you know why? Because it'll be fun. It'll be fun finding out if I can do it. It'll be fun seeing if I can learn to get my videos found in YouTube search and stuff like that. It'll be fun making new content and attracting new subscribers who I'm going to help. And that's why I started it. It's been amazing. I've been loving it. I've become an expert in all sorts of things to do with YouTube, but more importantly, it really has moved other projects forward. So I wrote a book that is now going to be published on Kindle. It is going to get out there. It's being reviewed at the moment by a few people so that I can get some nice little sound bites from the back of the book, but it's going to be going out on Kindle very soon. Something else is I want to do an online program. I want to move my business to be mostly online so that if something happened and I did get poorly again, then it wouldn't impact on me quite so much. So that's a decision that's happened as a part of doing this project. I have become much more centered and happy in myself, even though I was pretty good before. It's really helped me to recognize how faulty my thinking can still be, and also to let it go and go, well, that's just a thought. It's not the truth, and I don't need to jump on that thought train. And it has been so freeing. And I talk about it to everybody because it is an amazing, amazing process. Now, it's really simple. It's just each day you read that chapter, you do what he says, and then you take a little bit of action, and that's it. It's so simple, but it's not simplistic, and it has just had the most amazing impact on my life. And that's not to say everything's perfect or anything in any way perfect, because that's just not achievable. However, things are amazing, and around me I'm seeing so many synchronicities of things that I've wanted to happen, and they're just happening. And the things like I'm going to be making a new office, so I'll have a new background and everything very soon, and I've just found out that I'm going to get a whole bunch of new furniture for free for my office, and things like that are just happening all the time. To say it's life-changing is just an understatement, really, because if you take on board the lessons in there and the different perspectives that you learn, it will impact on the whole of the rest of your life, and it will make such a difference to you. So I can't thank Michael enough for writing this book and putting that out into the world, because it has made the world of difference to me. Even with all my learning and all my knowledge, of course, I am always learning more and going deeper. So I can't recommend this book enough. If you buy any one of these 3 books I've talked about, make it this one. But, you know, it's Kindle. It's cheap. Get all 3. Why not? They won't take up any space. It's brilliant. So I would like to ask you, have you read any of these books? And if you did, what did you think of them? And have you got a book that has changed your life that you can recommend to everybody down in the comments? And maybe to me, because I haven't read everything yet. Oh, thank goodness I haven't read everything yet. Oh, I love reading so much. And if you love books as much as me, then do you have a Kindle, or do you like to have a proper hard copy? I like both, but Kindle's great because I can have as many as I want. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe for more videos like this, and I will look forward to speaking to you in the next one. Have a fab day.